Hey gang, we're getting towards the end of the summer here, and I know a lot of you are wondering maybe how can I get my kid that extra edge before the season starts? It's not going to cost me $1 million in ice time. And we teamed up with NHL Sense Arena. For those of you who don't know, NHL Sense Arena is a VR hockey training tool that uses the MetaQuest. It's got hundreds of drills, coaches' plans, even full ice 3v3 NHL style games, and it works for players and goalies. I'll tell you what's cool about it is that my kids actively want to dive in and use it, right? I mean, look, the kids love being at the rink too, but it's costly. So this is something they can use at the house all the time. I think what's also important is it replaces a lot of the other type of games that they're playing. And this one helps them with their hockey IQ, their decision making, their play reading, their positioning, especially for my goaltender. And what's cool is that it tracks everything. So now the leaderboard for my kids, it's how am I becoming as a hockey player? Which is awesome when they find that love for the game. So if you didn't know, look, this is, again, it's used by NHL pros, Division I college athletes. It's the top VR training tool, and it's licensed by the NHL, right? It's also an official partner of USA Hockey, the OMHA up in Canada. So this is the real deal, all right? And right now through our partnership, it's only $299 for a full year. And when you think about it, that's less than $1 a day, or really it's like one on-ice session, and you get it for the year. So look, they've made a website for this audience. If you want more information and to check out the specs, that's sensearena.com/OKPH. Again, sensearena.com/OKPH. So check it out. Enjoy it. Again, we're so happy to have partnered with them. We look for partners that understand the trust and value system that we have here at Our Kids Play Hockey. And with that said, let's get you into this week's episode. Enjoy it. Hello, hockey friends and families around the world, and welcome back to another edition of Our Girls Play Hockey. It's Lee with Hayley today, and this is going to be an exciting episode because Hayley is at the dawn of a new season, and what a new season means for Hayley is a lot of hockey, a lot more than you probably think. So what we wanted to do today for the kids, especially for the parents, is give you a bird's eye view. We're going to look right into the life of a professional hockey player who's also an Olympian, who's also someone who likes to work in the community, and also a podcast host to give you an idea of what it looks like to be in professional hockey. And maybe at the end, even weigh a little bit, youth hockey versus professional hockey. Who has it harder? It's a trick question. Everybody's got it hard, people, just so you know. But Hayley, let me bring you in here. The first question is, let's just, for the audience, let's go through from now, we're recording this in August, your season. What are all of the events coming up for you?
It's going to be a crazy year, that's for sure. So basically with Team USA, they're going to have their top 30 girls who are trying out for the 23 spots for the Olympic team. Each month, pretty much, we're meeting for either a camp or a rivalry series. So that starts in August in Lake Placid. It'll be a 10-day camp. And just another evaluation camp, another touch point to have with everyone. So nothing necessarily other than that is happening. Then in September, we're going to meet again for another like 7 or 8 days. We'll be in Michigan that time. Then in October, we'll meet again for another 7 to 8 days in Minnesota. And then November, we're going to have rivalry series. And actually, those games are in Cleveland and Buffalo, so my hometown. So I'm super excited.
That's awesome. Yeah.
For that. And then in December, we'll have another rivalry series, which I don't think they've announced where yet. It'll be somewhere in Canada. And then in January, I do believe we meet again, but at that point, it would be down to like the 23 players. So how they'll get to the 23 during that time frame is not really determined. And meanwhile, also in November, we meet with our pro teams for training camp right after that rivalry series. And then the season will probably get started, which this also hasn't really come out, but sometime in end of November, early December.
Wow.
So it's a lot of travel and a lot to juggle.
I mean, there's so many places to start here. Let's start with for the Team USA camp. Again, you said you got to get it down to 23 players, you said, right? And that's two goalies, 21 skaters. Or is it three goalies?
3 goalies.
That's right. The national team. 3 goalies, 20 skaters. What's the starting pool typically? And it can be approximate.
So typically, in the last Olympic year, I believe we started with a group of 40 and then it went down to a group of, I want to say 27.
Wow.
So we did like a tryout in June of 2021. And then that got us to the 27. And then during that time, there wasn't a pro league. So
Right.
we lived together in like the same area for like 3 or 4 months, starting in October. And then like they kind of made gradual cuts throughout that time. But again, we were all in the same base together, and that's all we were doing.
Right. Yeah. And you're bringing up a really great point. We talked about it in the pre-show. This is the first year ever
Hmm.
where really there's a professional league, an extremely well-established professional league for women, and the Olympics at the same time. So we're going to be navigating new waters in that. I will get back to that in a minute. I just like to say this. So you said about 40 players show up to this kind of first camp. By the way, just in case you weren't paying attention, I'm taking notes. The USA hockey camps, rivalry series things, August, September, October, November, December, January. The Olympics are in February. So it's
Yep.
nonstop throughout now until it's a 6-month build-up to the Olympics.
Yep.
All right. But 40 players, and essentially half of them get cut. And these
Well,
are
for this camp, it will be 30. So
okay.
that
Understood.
was my bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
still, it's like you're cutting some of the best hockey players in the world.
Hmm.
I cannot imagine that competition. So I'm going to ask this question, and again, we'll keep going back and forth on the schedule
Yeah.
because this fascinates me. When everyone's that great, obviously there's no lack of talent. Obviously,
Hmm. Hmm.
how do you even separate yourself in a situation like that? Keeping in mind too, these are all probably your friends, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's definitely can be a hard thing to juggle at times, but typically for me, I just focus on what I bring because what I bring is unique and I just focus on that. I know my role, I play really well in my role, and that's what I'm just going to continue to focus on because when you're at that level, you need all the roles,
Yeah, yeah.
firing at all cylinders. So every role is important, and that's what I kind of lean into. And then in terms of like, I try not to think about other people. I try not to compare myself because I know that I'm different than them and they're different from me and we have different skill sets. And again, I just focus on what I do best and keep doing that to the best of my ability.
I love it. And look, I'm glad I asked that question because it does set up for the youth hockey players. I'm going to keep stringing this
Hmm.
back to youth hockey. That look, when you're a younger player, there'll be skill sets you're good at. You want to continue to build upon all skill sets, but don't underestimate understanding what you're good at and
Hmm.
maybe building from that skill, right?
Hmm.
Coaches love it when you come in and they know they can trust you to do X, Y, and Z. Keeping in mind, again, kids listening, you want to get good at everything. I'm not saying if you're got to get a slap shot, that's the only thing you focus on. All right, let's keep going here. We'll kind of go month to month. So Team USA, you go to this 10-day camp in Lake Placid. First off, amazing location, probably the coolest place to have a camp. Uh,
It
it's
is.
exciting. I believe that 100%.
Yeah.
Let's walk through the day-to-day of the camp because we're not going to show the viewers the actual schedule. That's private, but we can talk about that. It's a pretty monotonous schedule.
Hmm.
Almost every day is the same. There's some team things sprinkled into it, but let's walk through the normal day of a USA. We'll say hopeful right now, right? Because that's what
Yeah.
that camp is.
Yep, absolutely. So typically in the morning, we'll have like a video session, and usually in that, we'll kind of go over maybe something we're going to focus on in that practice later that day, a system, a concept, maybe a different skill. And then from there, we'll go right to the rink. We'll have like our off ice warm up. We usually do that together and then go to practice. And then they'll usually have optional lift times for us. We usually don't have those scheduled just because it all gets so crazy and busy and people have we also need time for treatment, so that's where we have like massage therapists there, chiros there,
Right.
our athletic trainers are there. Like we have an incredible setup in that sense, and so they're kind of able to help us out in between those times. So then we'll come back, they have meals for us. They have like a lunch hall, like it's like kind of like you're back on a college campus,
Right.
honestly. And then from there, we'll have another meeting in the evening, either with like, our sports psych, our nutritionists, drug testing, like is a big thing. Like we have to get a lot of like educational stuff on that to make sure that we're taking the right supplements
Right.
and different things
Right.
like that.
The Olympics have different requirements than some USA things. That's actually a really good point. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, there's there's so much. It's insane. And then honestly, by the time you're done with the day, you just want to like lie in bed and do absolutely nothing.
Right.
So that's like the typical day, I would
Yeah.
say.
And I saw on the schedule, it's really every day. I mean,
Hmm.
from what I saw, there was one day there's like a team trip,
Yeah.
probably team building or team bonding to go see
Yep.
something, which is a break. But I feel like that was put in there just to break up the monotony. Um, let me ask you this. This is not your first camp, right?
Mm-mm.
talk to me about what that must have been like the first time, the excitement and also probably the shock of what's happening. Walk me through that and then flip it to now that I've done that. This is how I'm approaching it this time.
It is crazy. I'm trying to think. So my first August camp would have been in 2019.
Yeah.
And because I had a camp before that, but it was like a winter camp, so it was kind of smaller. So
Yeah.
to give
Like
an idea of what August camp looks like, so there are 30 girls trying out, but then there's also a college group of people trying out for the college team. And then there's also U18 girls there. So
Right.
there's like over 70 girls
Wow.
in this location. So it is very like overstimulating, a lot going on. Um, and I just remember being so overwhelmed. Like it was definitely intimidating because I didn't really know too many people. And then the girls who have already been there before, they're like, easy, got
Yeah.
this. Like
Well,
they're not really thinking about it.
let's just talk about that because it's like Hillary Knight's walking around, Blake
Yeah.
Bowman's walking around. I mean, these people are just walking around, like
Yeah.
it's got to be amazing.
Yeah. I remember being starstruck by Hillary for sure. I think that was the only one I was like, oh my gosh, she's like in my locker room.
Yeah,
Like
she's real.
this is insane. This is crazy.
Right.
And then I think you just kind of had to, I think I found my people and then just kind of stuck with them, stayed close to myself, and just was trying to think of what I did to get to that point. I was like, all right, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing, focusing on me, focusing on what I'm good at, and ride the wave. It's been, yeah, and it's been great ever since. And then now when I'm at camp, I feel that I make sure that the young, people who are newer to it or just feel really comfortable because I just remember how scary and intimidating that camp was for sure. So I do my best to make sure everyone feels included and comfortable.
Well, I guarantee you there's going to be, a young player that comes and goes, that's Hayley Scamurra. Hayley Scamurra is here. She's amazing. Let me ask you this too. Just backtracking a little bit. Is it a phone call you get, a letter? I mean, how is what is the moment of I made it or I've been invited, I should say.
So for the invite, it was just an email.
Wow.
I believe. Yeah.
You don't miss that email. You don't want to miss that email.
No, you don't. Yeah, it was just an email. And then I remember for the Olympic team for last year, what they did is they kind of had everyone come in and then just say like, this is our team. So we were all like together
Okay.
when we found out. So that was pretty cool.
Okay.
But it was also a bittersweet day because there were cuts that day and you kind of knew. And so you don't really think about that side of it, I would say, when you're imagining that moment. You're just thinking, oh, it's going to be, because it was incredible, absolutely. But there was also that sadness to it that some friends were cut and people who are incredible players, and it's just hard decisions they have to make for sure.
It is. And we had a great episode with Katie Million on, who is essentially the GM of that team.
Mm-hmm.
And she talked about that, about how impossible of a task it is.
Mm-hmm.
And, we even asked her, Haley, like when you get down to the final few players, like it's just, as I asked earlier, something has to separate you from the pack, right? Or sometimes it comes down to just what the team needs, right? If you're heavy on one position, that can play into it. But I love that they all brought you in a room. I think a lot of people think it's like the movie Miracle. They're all sitting in the stands. And I said, it's probably not how it's done anymore. But that's an interesting process and an interesting camp. And again, you've got to do these several times leading up to now a pro season,
Mm-hmm.
right? So again, let me ask you this one more time too. A lot of structure, video sessions, workout, ice time, mental performance meetings, the practices themselves. How do you mentally pace yourself? I know you said you just kind of go around with your day, but like, what are the messages you give yourself? Or is it really just you're so present that you're not even thinking that way?
Yeah, you're kind of just present, I would say. And I think also what we try to do is we'll try to do stuff outside of the facility. So where we're at, like I said, it's kind of like a little campus, and there's other Olympic athletes that are there training, like bobsled and luge and stuff. So like they're there all the time, and then we're coming into their space. So it becomes crazy for them, I'm sure. And I think for us, we try to like go into town. We try to like, go paddle boarding if it's nice enough out. Just do different things outside of the facility to kind of help break up everything. Because otherwise, if you just are there all the time and just doing all the things and then only going lying and down in your room, you're going to be exhausted, I feel like. So, yeah, we've really tried to like explore more and kind of enjoy the town and break it up a little bit.
And then look, as you get closer, I would love to be a fly in the room when you do those video sessions, and just to understand what are those sessions like? Are they going over tactics? Are they reviewing the film from the day? I mean, again, it's amazing because they're preparing everyone, right? Everyone has the same shot with that.
Absolutely. I think so. We've done different times. So sometimes they'll do NHL clips of like maybe zone entries and like, all right, this is what we're going to kind of focus on today is these kinds of zone entries. And they'll show ours too, but it's a lot easier. There's a lot more NHL clips.
Oh, for sure.
Hopefully one day that will change. But anyway, so yeah, we do those clips a lot. And then, yeah, sometimes, I mean, I remember early on with our coach, I think he did show us like practice clips and like, hey, I wanted it to look like this. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, shoot, okay.
right.
Like that was kind of mind opening. But I would say typically we're watching NHL clips or our own clips, and then
Right.
focusing on what we're, systems doing.
Yeah, well, and to your point, you do have 2 years now of PWHL clips built up, so
Yeah.
I'm sure you're going
Yeah.
to see a lot more of those.
Yeah.
Let's get towards the PWHL now. Okay, so look, August, September, October, Team USA. Then
Yeah.
suddenly you have a pro schedule on the
Mhm.
horizon for the first time. You're playing with Montreal this year.
Yep.
Massive names there as well. So let's start with this question: what has USA Hockey and actually Hockey Canada, we should say, and the PWHL had to do to navigate this? Because like you said, now you're not going to be together for this 6 months to the Olympics. In fact, you're going to be playing against your future teammates 100%.
Hmm. Absolutely. They've had to work a lot together in terms of scheduling is the biggest thing because USA Hockey and Canada have always been so used to like they can just schedule whenever,
What they want. Yeah.
right? We can come whenever.
Yeah.
And now that we have our pro league, they have to work around it a little bit more. So it's definitely a little bit more nuanced. But there are international breaks that they're able to schedule things in.
Awesome.
Because then, the European players also go and different things like that. So in that sense, it's worked out pretty well, I would say.
Right.
But that's definitely been the biggest change for sure, because now this residency, we're not, living together in the same place and working every day together. But regardless, we're all still working towards that goal all the time,
Right.
regardless if we're there or not. And then we're still meeting every month. So it's, uh, we're still reporting.
Well, you know what's interesting about it? Like, I do want to describe this undertaking because well, actually, there's multiple governing bodies now that I'm thinking about. You have
Hmm.
PWHL governing body, you have the IIHF, International Ice Hockey Federation, which is, and the Olympic governing body. Those are actually two separate things, even though they work very closely. Then you have the nation's governing body, and you mentioned, I'm sorry, I forgot it. All the Scandinavian countries, like all of the European countries. There's a lot of things that have to happen to make this work. And I'm glad to hear, not that I was worried about it, that there's an understanding here, right? Because this is a completely new endeavor and there's going to be a lot to learn from it. And so I love that they built in these breaks. I'm looking at what you said to me earlier in these notes. How are you going to compartmentalize? Let's just say Montreal playing New York,
Hmm.
and then the next night you're playing Canada, right? Like, and your teammates probably on the other team and vice versa. I mean, the mental side of that boggles my mind. I mean, look, you obviously you just got to go do it,
Hmm.
but how are you even compartmentalizing that right now? Right, you're going to be playing a pro game that matters, then a rivalry game that matters for pride.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, try and walk me through how you think you're gonna get through that.
It's funny, honestly, as soon as you're on the ice,
Yeah,
the brain switches. It really does. As soon as we put on those USA jerseys, it's like we're dialed.
right.
And I don't even think about who I'm hitting, who I'm like going after. Like it's it's a different kind of feeling. And then same with the pro league. Honestly, you put on that jersey and it's just a different feeling. And I don't even know how else to describe it. You just have that switch and
Yeah.
you're able to just kind of do that.
Well, that's what makes you a pro. All right.
Yeah.
And look, for the listeners, like that is a big difference because here's the thing, Hayley, I know you can do it. You've proven that. There are very high level athletes that will not be able to do that well this time around, right? And it's a learning curve. And again, for the young kids listening, the parents listening, this is part of being a pro. Is that you have to have that razor sharp mind, right? Look, Hayley has in many episodes and through her business shown that from the physical fitness side, you know it, right? Like that's your world, but also the mental side. It's not just you, right? Like the professional athletes go through a tremendous amount of mental training, both as a team and individually, correct?
Absolutely. We have mental performance for USA Hockey. We have like set sports psychologists that we work with who come in and we do team things, but then they're also available for individual meetings. And then same with every pro team I've been on. There's been a sports psych person who's on call. You can call whenever.
Awesome.
Sometimes they'll do team activities. I can't say for Toronto because I came in halfway, so they might have done it at the beginning and I might have missed it.
Yeah.
But for Ottawa, I remember she came in during like training camp and we worked with her and stuff. And so it is kind of fun to have different voices in the sports psychology world.
Yeah.
That you're able to see who you connect with better because you connect with different people on different levels and not the sports psych isn't for everyone. Like
it's true. And you know what's interesting about it, and I always say this because I do a lot of team building and mental training with youth teams and youth organizations. And I don't get too much pushback anymore, but one of the funny things I do say when I do is like, every pro team in the world is doing this. It's not some stigmatized thing anymore. Like the best teams in the world work on this. But like you said, if it's not for you, it's not for you. But don't make it sound like who does this yoga stuff. It's like everybody at the top level does it. I also want to bring up too, we talked about physical fitness, mental fitness. But nutrition is also a major point in this. I mean, you said you have those halls with team meals. I'm guessing they're prepared. Why don't you walk us through what you have to eat, what you like to eat, what you don't like to eat? And again, I'm thinking about the kids listening that might be going to McDonald's. Like this is what a pro athlete eats. During the most, am I wrong in saying this is going to be the most demanding season you've ever had?
Yeah, it definitely will be. And it'll have its own challenges that because last year was definitely a challenge. There was a lot of travel because it was kind of similar, but this is even more travel. And obviously with the Olympics in mind, it's more at stake.
Right.
In terms of food, so Lake Placid, they have like a dining hall. So they have people who make us food. They actually have like an omelet station. So that's actually what I'm pumped for. So in the morning, I'll probably do an omelet and stuff. Oh, so good. And I usually am up kind of earlier than most of the people. So then there's not as much of a line.
That's also why you're a pro. I'm just saying.
And then oh man, they have a lot of different stuff. I would say they do a pretty good variety. There's like, for lunch and dinner, it's typically similar stuff. It's like chicken or steak or vegetables, asparagus, broccoli. I know they've done like Asian bowls sometimes, so they mix it up pretty well there.
None of it's processed, I'm guessing, right?
What'd you say?
None of it's processed, I'm guessing.
I don't think so, no.
Right there.
But then we always go for lunch. Like they have like a sub shop in downtown Lake Placid that we'll always go to. It's so good.
Not the Subway across the street?
Not the Subway. No, it's called like 42 Peaks or something.
Yeah.
I forget.
That sounds right.
Oh,
I just wanted to make sure
good.
for the people that have been there, like we're not talking Subway right now. Although hey,
no.
that's Subway. They make a good sandwich or a hoagie as we call them in Philadelphia. But yeah, go ahead, Hayley. Sorry.
No, you're good. That's really it. And then honestly, there is some good ice cream downtown. So once in a while we'll hit that up. But overall I eat pretty basic and plain, nothing too crazy. And then the meals are pretty good. So it's nice.
Yeah, look, there's two things I'll say on that on nutrition. The clean, basic stuff usually is the best stuff, right? And again, it makes a massive difference, not just in energy and how you play, but recovery. Nutrition is just another thing I think probably not just athletes, like as a whole, we need to be paying attention to. And like, look, man, you can make chicken and rice taste really good if you know what you're doing. I'll say this to you too. I love that you brought up ice cream because there's a little bit of joy in ice cream. It's actually a great segue to my next question. Everything about this is exciting. Talking about it, thinking about it. Someone's going to win a gold medal in a professional championship this year. Multiple people probably, right? It's a long schedule. We're talking August through next spring. You have to find ways to maintain joy in that. There is no way, and I'm going to say this for you, but please dive into it. There's no way you wake up every day during this schedule just like USA. Like there's just no way, right? There's going to be days you just want to lay in bed or you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
How do you maintain the joy? How do you maintain the doing it when you don't want to do it? I think
Mhm.
it's a really important lesson for the listeners too, because we all experience this in our life.
Yeah, that's a great question. For me, what a teammate of mine said is that like this year's a marathon, not a sprint.
Hmm.
So I think the biggest thing is knowing that like we don't need to go 100% every single day or we will burn out.
Yeah.
Like in terms of not like effort wise, I meant in terms of like the actual training load
Yeah.
of that day.
Great distinction.
To be clear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're going to crash and you're going to get injuries and you're going to get, who knows? And there's no need to do that because it's August and we don't actually start games until November.
Right.
So I think that's been super important for me to kind of remember because I think at times I'm like, oh, I need to be in my peak shape right now. We're about to go to camp, and it's like, hold up, take a breath. Like we have time.
Let me ask you this because you mentioned that, right? Because
Yeah.
this is another funny thing for people. Have you ever finished a season in peak shape? Because in my experience, I've never finished a season feeling great. I feel pretty beat up at the end of a season.
That's a good point. Exactly. So the season, it does, break you down a little bit, right? You're going to lose muscle mass. You're going to lose, like, you're going to be tired. And so I think it's important in this season right now, leading up to such a heavy season, to not go super hard and to make sure you're good with your body and like listening to your body. Like,
Great one.
because maybe there is a day where you do wake up and you're like, I did not sleep well. I think working out will set me back. I'm going to just take it easy, maybe do mobility, I've actually been doing some virtual reality stuff with like reaction time. So that's kind of like a fun one I can do at
Our
home.
sponsors
That's
love to hear that, I have to say.
yeah.
Go ahead. Shout out to NHL Sensorino for that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so I've been doing that a little bit more this year. That's something I've added in this off season, and I feel like that's an easy thing to add where it's because it's still a workout. When you're working out your brain, you are still burning calories, to be clear, but it's maybe a little less hard on the body than what I might be doing. So
No, I love that you brought that up because as athletes and coaches, you're always looking for new ways to have an edge. I mean, it's funny, Hayley, if you go back to the like early 1980s, and I'm not exaggerating this, it's not uncommon to see, NHL players, quote unquote, working out in a gym, which means like 4 or 5 reps and then having a cigarette in their mouth while they're doing it. Right. And then they go out to dinner and just have a gigantic steak. Right. It's like things have changed quite a bit. So the science of training, the science of recovery is always evolving. But I love that you find those different ways. I think it's also important to reiterate what you just said about, understanding and listening to your body. I think there's a misconception, especially in youth hockey, that you have to have this massive intensity at all moments. And you said it perfectly. You got to bring your best. You got to bring it, but you also got to listen. Right. And let's dive into that a little bit too more, because we talked about on a previous episode too about giving 100% of what you have. Right. And that's different than giving everything that you have. Right. And I think that to me, that's one of the pro athlete separators is they're really in touch with that. If like, I don't know many athletes that are taken off, like in terms of they're not showing up. Right. They don't take days off, but they do understand, as Hayley just said, I don't have everything today, so I got to give 100% of what I have. Can you maybe explain that from your perspective a little bit?
yeah, I think because there'd be times where I'd be frustrated or I'd give myself anxiety if I didn't have the best night of sleep, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to like perform to the best of my ability.
Right.
And Nick, who's my boyfriend and also my trainer, was like, just give 100% of what you have, and that will be enough. And then you also surprise yourself with how much you do have and what you're capable of, even with a lack of sleep or even with, if you're not feeling well and whatnot. And I think
you might be sick.
Flu game, you know what I mean? So you never know. So I think that just mindset kind of helped me kind of reduce that anxiety that I would have for not getting like a perfect night of sleep and going into a training day. Because then when I look back now, I've had some of my best games like when I didn't even get much sleep. Like the night I'll never forget the night I was traded from from Ottawa to Toronto.
Yeah.
Like it happened the night before a game. So I didn't sleep. I don't think I slept an hour that night. Like it was so bad. And I'm like, how am I going to play in a game tomorrow? Like I was panicking. I'm like, I guess I'll find a way. And you know what? I played pretty dang good. Like I was shocked by how well I played, considering the circumstances mentally, emotionally, psychologically, like
Yeah.
everything. Um,
Well, there's will there, Haley. I mean, and
yeah.
it's, one of the things I've learned, not just as a player, but actually as coach, is humans, we have really no idea the capacity of what we can do. I mean, we put these limitations on ourselves, and look, a lot of it's the fight or flight response. It's always a tongue twister of like, we like 80% of our worries don't actually happen. But every Olympics, someone breaks the world record. Like, we do not know what we're capable of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your spirit, again, this is what makes you a pro athlete, though, is, what? You showed up, you played, you gave 100% of what you had. And what's funny, and again, kind of shared experience here. I've had games too when I show up and it's just like everything's not working my way. So you kind of just get present and it's like, let's just see what happens. And you play better because you're not thinking too much at that point. Like you said, when you step on the ice.
Yep.
So amazing points. You brought up something else now that I didn't even write down. You could get, not you, just someone could get traded. Someone could get traded right before the Olympics. You could be playing for a PWHL game, traded, then you're on TBS. I don't even know how to ask a question about that. Like, maybe we should just start with, and maybe not the best memory, but what was it like to be traded? Right?
Oh,
like,
man.
What that process is like, that's important for this episode.
Yeah, I can talk about that. What happened? So I was with Ottawa. We were in Toronto for the game the next day.
Wow.
And I looked down, I had like a text or a call from our GM. Nothing crossed my mind. I had no clue. I literally thought it was going to be about, I don't even know. And I showed my roommate at the time and she was like, "Are you getting traded?" And my heart just sank.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't be. Like, that's like, I didn't ask for that. I didn't, nothing like that. So
that's not how it works.
Yep, exactly. So
Right.
I got to my room and he told me and I was just like in shock. Like, I barely said words. I think I just was like, okay, like just let me get off the phone, like trying not to like sob on the phone.
Yeah. Describe the emotion. Emotion.
Yeah.
Right? It's not one.
It was shock, sadness, like almost like a grief, to be honest. It was really sad.
Mid to late season, right?
It was middle of the season. Yep.
Yeah,
and I had already had a full season with Ottawa. So this was like my second year with Ottawa.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was devastated. I really was. So I was just sobbing. And then girls slowly find out, because we also couldn't tell anyone because we were waiting for it to go public, because it was like a big trade. It was me and a teammate with two people from Toronto.
Yeah, it was a big trade. I mean, just for those of you listening, it was news. It was a big trade when this happened.
Yes. Yeah, it was one of the biggest trades in our league, like thus far. And so yeah, I was just waiting. My roommate obviously ended up knowing because she came in the room and I'm sobbing. So I told her. And then girls started like coming in and they're crying and I'm crying. And then it's just like, how am I going to play against you guys tomorrow? Like, what?
I mean, that's
how?
A huge part. Like, you're playing against the same team.
Yeah. So then moments later, Gina calls from Toronto, the GM there. And so then we started having a chat, and then I'm like, this is bizarre. So then we were going to meet with her the next morning, me and my teammate Savannah, who had gotten traded. So all of a sudden we're checking out our new facilities the next day and meeting with her and grabbed a coffee. And, they told us like, you don't have to play. Technically you could take the 48 hours and, whatever, but I heard everyone else was playing, so I was like, I can't not play.
Well, and you're a hockey player.
Yeah, like
you got to do what you do, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But that night, I didn't sleep at all. I was crying the whole night. I was just like, what if I cry on the ice? Like, that was the thought I had. I was like, I really don't want to cry on the ice. Like, please don't let that happen. Which luckily it didn't. So by the next day, we got to meet the girls at pregame skate in Toronto, and that helped a lot. Like, that was massive to get to like meet them and skate with them a little bit for pregame skate, to have like a practice under our belt with them.
Right.
And then, but it's also emotional for them. They lost two teammates. So it's all so crazy and just bizarre. And then I just remember being on the ice against Ottawa, and I couldn't look at any of the girls. Like, they would try to joke with me or smile with me, and I'm like, I literally cannot do that right now. Like, so
Right.
I just would look down and just completely disassociate. Like, that's the only word I can use, is that none of them were my friends. Like,
Right. Well, you
I
got to
didn't know
compete,
them. I
right?
had to. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it was one of the craziest games I've ever
Wow.
played in. So it was nuts. It was
Well,
nuts.
I got to first thank you for your vulnerability of telling
Mhm.
us all of that, because look, it's very rare that we get to see behind the curtain of something like that. Um, look, the word, this is what's crazy about pro sports. The word cruel comes to mind. Look, it's cruel, but it's business.
Yep.
And that is the side of youth hockey, I think, that no one correctly sees, right? You don't need to be traded in youth hockey,
Yeah.
obviously. But yeah, talk about being a pro. We keep talking about you being a pro. You got to show up, compete against your friends. And here's the thing: I don't think it's that crazy that you kind of reacted the way you did on the ice, because you have to compete. You have to compete, right? You have a job to do now, and it's for another team, and that's just the way it is, right? And then in the PWHL, it's not like you've got 31 other teams on the schedule you got to go around and play. It's like you're going to play
Yeah.
them a few times. Um, and I'm sure there is a mutual understanding and admiration across the board there from your teammates and, I guess, opponents in that realm. Let me ask you this, and I'll preface this: you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. Um, I want to talk about I guess, what's the right word here? In one way, a team rejected you. In one way, a team welcomed you.
Yep.
How do those thoughts materialize in your mind, right? Because
Hmm.
you have every right to feel whatever you want to feel against Ottawa at that time. And again, I'm not asking you to talk poorly against Ottawa. Like I said a minute ago, it's business.
Yeah.
But what's that process like?
It was weird because you're right. My first thought was, oh my gosh, Ottawa got rid of me. Like,
Yeah,
they didn't want me anymore. Like, that's awful. And then I remember Tess Bonhomme had reached out because she's from the Toronto, or she lives in the Toronto area now, and I had worked a camp with her. And I remember she just told me, well, the other team really wanted you then. Like, there's
yeah,
that flip side. So just remember that. Like, don't forget about that piece. And that was super helpful because when that situation arises, it's pretty easy to focus on the negative side of it and the
yeah,
sad side of it. And
yeah.
then to now remember, okay, another team really wanted you. They really were like fighting to get you, or however it worked, obviously.
Right.
Um, so I think that helped a lot. And yeah, nothing but good things to say about my time in Ottawa. I absolutely loved it there. I loved it in Toronto. It was great. So yeah, no hard feelings after all of it, but it was definitely in the moment, it was very difficult to kind of grapple with.
I believe that. You're also bringing up a great point for the youth audience here. Of There's typically two sides to every situation, and it can be very easy to focus on one. We see this all the time when kids switch organizations, and maybe they weren't seeing the grass on the other side before they did. Right? We talk about this on our kids with Mike all the time about, just because you had a bad year doesn't mean you should flip teams. It
Mhm.
doesn't mean you shouldn't either. All right, but it's just, there's two sides to every. Make sure you're looking at the positives as much as you're looking at the negatives. Um, I'm gonna jump around here for a minute too, since we're on this topic. We talked about getting traded. You signed with Montreal for this season, free agency. What was that process like?
Wow, free agency was really cool, to be honest. So there was a period where all the teams could kind of contact you and just say that they were interested.
Mm-hmm.
But no like deals were in place or anything like that at that point because of the expansion draft. So there's also a
Right.
lot of factors going on. So
Yeah,
Seattle and Vancouver got to do an expansion draft.
which is awesome too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really cool. And so after that, there was the period where the teams could reach out with offers. And we all have to have agents if you're in the league. And so it's all going through my agent. But I just remember getting like one email with the offers, and then all of a sudden they all heard about each other's offers. So then there's like bidding going on. Like,
Right.
it was so cool. Um, and it was kind of a nice way to feel like validated in a way of like my worth as a player and things like that. Because I think I had a tough year last year, and so it was very nice and refreshing to kind of see that like I'm still valued for the aspects that I bring to the ice and off the ice and leadership quality and things like that. So
Right.
that was massive for me, I think, as a player and a human. And I've worked with Corey in the past with Montreal and as my coach when we did our PWHPA showcases and stuff. And So I was kind of excited to work with her again in like a real true season. So that was a big factor for me.
That's cool. And I'll say, you don't have to, but Montreal has the coolest jerseys in the league. I'm going to say that right now.
I've been wanting to say it for a while, and now I can finally say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're my favorite jerseys. They're beautiful.
Yeah, I concur. A lot of
Yeah.
history in those jerseys too. And look, I also want to make note of this. Like free agency in professional women's hockey, kind of a new concept, right? I mean, look, the top of women's hockey not that long ago was Olympics or Division I college, and there's not much contract negotiations for money
Yep.
in those situations. Although now they mentioned it, colleges are in a position now to start doing that a little bit too.
True.
If they want. All right. Let's bring it back in and keep going through the schedule. So the PWHL season starts. The Olympic schedule is going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
You said it already, just to bring the audience back. You're doing your PWHL schedule, your practices, then you're having breaks, and you're doing Olympic stuff. Then February rolls around, and it's the Olympics, right?
Yep.
And those that make the team, now you're not just stopping your PWHL season. You're going to a foreign country,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're going to be playing against the top competition in the world every night. I'm actually, this is kind of cool to say. Historically, it's Canada, USA, and the gold medal game, but every single Olympics that becomes more and more in question, and this one more than ever, right? So there's that. I mean, how I don't even know how to ask this. You're going from pretty late in the season, PWHL season, to Olympic competition. Then you have to ride that wave and somehow come down from whatever the outcome is. There's going to be some winners, some losers, some
Mm-hmm.
not even in a medal game.
Mm-hmm.
And then get back to essentially the playoff run.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know how you're going to do that. I'm not saying there's a doubtful way.
I understand, because it was honestly like this past Worlds was a pretty crazy turnaround.
Yeah.
Because it was a playoff race, and each team kind of came back with different mindsets, like you said, a different frame of reference. So it was like we were on a high, obviously, as the U.S. players, and the Canada players were not feeling so hot.
Right.
And that's just how it goes. We have to find a way to power through and kind of disassociate almost. And like, luckily there was like maybe a few days between Worlds and coming back. Like I think we got like a 2 or 3 day break.
I think that's great that they
was massive. Like if you had to come back like the next day, it would be probably still pretty raw.
Yeah, you were coming from Czechia, right?
Yep.
So yeah, like
so we needed a few days.
Yeah, I mean, you're jet lagged to begin with. On that.
Yeah,
man, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's again.
So I'm not sure, because Olympics is another level, obviously, and it's huge. So that will be very interesting, and I'll let you know when it happens. How I'm feeling.
Because it's unprecedented. It really is.
Yeah,
we'll have to do a follow-up. Like, and again, for context for the audience, when you think of the NHL in the Olympics, it's an interesting kind of jumbled situation where when we see NHL players in the Olympics, it's great, but the Stanley Cup is the Stanley Cup. Okay. And while winning the Olympics is an amazing, amazing thing, I'm not taking anything away from that. From the men's game, 1980 is never going to be topped. All right. That's the truth. Right. And the Stanley Cup, I said it again, that's the top prize. Right. Again, not taking anything away from a gold medal. In women's hockey, I don't know if that's quite true, right? Because the Olympic gold medal is that is what has been in focus for so long. And the PWHL is pretty new, right? So I don't even know if there's a question there. Do you have thoughts on that? Because it is a totally different dynamic in that professional world than the men's professional world.
Yeah, I think it's a really important difference to note, because so for the men's, obviously there's national pride. 1,000%.
100%.
However, for the women's side, we have dedicated so much time and effort and to growing women's hockey and like the national team.
Yeah.
We're meeting for camps 3 times a year. We're meeting for there's so much obligation that we're required to do that the men aren't, because they're in an 82 game NHL season. So it's understandable. But we didn't have that for a while. Like we were only on the national team and training for the national team 24/7.
And there's a almost 30 year history here of women in the Olympics. That's not true for the NHL men.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think there's just a lot more on the line for the women's side,
Yeah.
1000%, and it's something we've dedicated so much time to, and I think it's an important difference to note for sure.
Yeah, Haley, what's cool about this episode is that, in these discussions, it's very obvious. Like, there's just a lot of unknowns here, right? And that's okay. So, like, especially in journalism, like, that's what's cool is we're covering this. We can totally do a follow-up at the end of the season of like, well, we
Yeah.
had these questions in August,
Yeah,
and now we
true.
have some of these answers that I hope I'm saying in that, gold medalist, Olympic winning, PWHL champion, and so
Yeah,
hopefully I'm
me
saying
too.
all those things to you. But yeah, and then look, and then you come back and it's right in the playoffs. I will always mention this because the PWHL does the coolest thing when teams are eliminated. I think all leagues should adopt this. That once a team in the PWHL is eliminated, you earn points for the first draft pick, thus keeping the competition. So while I'm not saying, Hayley, I think Montreal is going to be in that field, I am saying that there is no stop. You're in the playoffs, whether you're in the playoffs or not. So you got to come back. You got to do that. And then the season ends. What do you take, a month off to Aruba? I mean, what do you do? What do you do
Yeah,
after the season at that
I'll
point?
be doing something. I'm going to a beach somewhere.
Somewhere.
1000%.
Yeah.
I will be planning that because I haven't
Yeah.
taken a beach vacation in a hot minute. So, after this season, that'll definitely be very necessary.
We're gonna get you down to Puerto Rico. That's what we're gonna do.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. We'll say we know some people down there.
Yeah.
We'll get you to a beach down there. Yeah, I don't have any more questions. I just really appreciate your willingness to walk us through this, because I'll say it's kind of behind the scenes access, but I mean, if you're listening to this at home, and I will say this, the youth hockey schedule is crazy, but we got practices and weekend games. Like, we got to do our jobs in between. It's a lot.
Mhm.
But this gives you an idea of what the top level of professional hockey is like. And it's insane. And I'm going to say it, in a lot of ways, this schedule is more demanding than some of the other schedules that we see out there in professional hockey.
Mhm.
All right. Not shooting down the NHL or anything like that. All right. It's just the games, the pressure, the practices, the preparation, the recovery, the ability to do it every day. That's what separates you, Hayley, as a pro. And for the kids listening, the parents listening, the question I think we should leave you with is, you don't need to do this yet, but what are the tools that Hayley has described today that you can start to build in your own game? Are you doing mental prep? Are you giving 100% of what you got? Are you doing nutrition? Are you recovering? Right? Are you looking at both sides? Hopefully you're not getting traded in youth hockey. I don't think that's okay. I do want to give a shout out to, you mentioned several people. Nick, we had a great episode with Nick with you. Audience, make sure you go listen to that one, because there's a lot of eye-opening stuff in that. And, Hayley and Nick have a great business where they also give you kind of a behind-the-scenes view, but talk to players, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm trying to give that a shout out right now. So make sure.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
But Hayley, listen, thanks so much for walking us through this. This is an awesome episode. Just an awesome episode.
Yeah, thank you for allowing me to share, because I think it's super important for people to see what we do leading up to the Olympics. And it's not just every 4 years. We're working all the time towards that goal.
Yeah.
And then obviously with the professional league, like, I'm really excited to work to get that Walter Cup with Montreal for sure. So I wanted to make sure that is noted as well, because I want double. Yeah.
When they do that ESPN montage at the end of the year, they're going to refer to this moment. This is a Hall of Fame episode. All right, Hayley, great episode. For those of you listening, remember, if you have any questions, thoughts, comments, episode idea, anything for Hayley and I, email us at team@ourkidsplayhockey.com at any time. Also, in the show notes, there's a link. If you click on it, you can actually text us the same information. Just remember to leave your name and where you're from if you want us to know that. But for Hayley, I'm Lee. This has been a fantastic episode of Our Girls Play Hockey. Lots more coming your way soon. Make sure to have fun, enjoy the game, and skate on, everybody. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. Make sure to like and subscribe right now if you found value wherever you're listening, whether it's a podcast network, a social media network, or our website, ourkidsplayhockey.com. Also, make sure to check out our children's book, When Hockey Stops, at whenhockeystops.com. It's a book that helps children deal with adversity in the game and in life. We're very proud of it. But thanks so much for listening to this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey, and we'll see you on the next episode.